detailed, nuanced route running, can create separation, ball skills, strength, speed, quickness. Yeah. Like, he's kind of had the answers to the test because he's Marvin Harrison Sr.'s son.
Harrison Jr. waltzes in. Marvin Harrison catches. He makes a move. 30, 25. Marvin Harrison down.
Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, Julio Jones, A.J. Green, Jamarr Chase. Listen, we know that Marvin Harrison Jr. has earned himself to be into that conversation, but the question is this. Is he the best wide receiver prospect that we've seen of all time? I'm going to start with you, Ryan Fowler.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. I think he's absolutely up there. I think we live in a day and age that's different with social media. I've known about this kid's name since he was at St. Joe's Prep in the suburbs of Philadelphia for a long, long time. I'm going to say no, flat out. I think it is Calvin Johnson. I don't think we may ever see another guy that's 6'5", 235, run 4.35 out of college and had the production that he had at Georgia Tech. That was an offense formerly known to run the football. And he was just an unbelievable talent. That look, and I will say this about the whole Calvin Johnson thing and Marvin Harrison Jr., because we know that's a conversation obviously we're going to hear move into this time next year when Marvin's concluded with his rookie season. Calvin Johnson only had 730 yards in his rookie season. Then next year went over 1,000 yards. So we're here next year, and Marvin has 1,100 yards in his rookie year, which is very possible. I think that talent's all there. But it's not too crazy here.
No, they will at you. You better believe the comments are going to go crazy about this. This will be clipped up and somebody will find it. But DP, I'm going to ask you that same exact question because I know you're a big Marvin Harrison Jr. guy, right? You studied him. You really enjoy everything he does from a detailed perspective. So do you believe that he's the best wide receiver prospect ever?
No, I think the Calvin Johnson thing is just, when you have a freak like that, like someone that's just built in a lab to be 6'6", 235, run sub 4.4, you shouldn't be allowed to move the way that Calvin Johnson was able to move. But he was just so physically gifted that we haven't seen anything like that, right? Like, so for me, no. Like, I would never forget watching him on TV going across the middle, the one-hand catch with the balls behind him, and the catch radius, the speed, and even as the route runner for a 6'6" guy, 6'5", 6'6" guy, he did things that you're not supposed to be able to do. So from a top tier wide receiver prospect standpoint, I can't put Marvin there. He's one of my favorite guys, but I do have Calvin Johnson ahead of him right now. Honestly, I have Julio Jones ahead of him as well.
Yeah, I'll say this. I put Calvin Johnson ahead of him, too. This is the guy that we've seen. They play special teams defense against this guy. Right. I don't think we've ever seen that before. They ran out the special teams, 2 guys on this guy. Yeah. We don't care about the rest of the team, right? And that may be attributed to how the Detroit Lions team was currently constructed also, right? That's a bit of a problem. But I want to look at it this, right? Talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., we all agree that he's not the best wide receiver prospect ever, but him transitioning into the NFL as an NFL prospect, what are teams getting? Because he will be an immediate impact player, but what will his impact be? I'm going to pass it to you, DP, first.
Detailed, nuanced route running, can create separation, ball skills, strength, speed, quickness. Yeah. Like, he's kind of had the answers to the test because he's Marvin Harrison Sr.'s son. Right. So, like, you watched your dad do this at a high level. Yep. You watched Reggie Wayne do it at a high level. You know a great quarterback. He's been in the locker rooms. He knows this stuff, right? But when you're 6'3", over 200 pounds, you can get in and out of your breaks with quickness, but you can also play bully ball and be that kind of power forward, big small forward in the NBA, play at the rim at the catch point. Legit, has some of the best ball skills and body control in this class to where when you talk about that phrase, we use it, not as much, but he's never covered. Marvin Harrison Jr. is that type of receiver where he's rarely ever covered because even if you're in the hip pocket on that slant, you can throw the ball. He's got the catch radius and the arm length to extend away from his frame. You throw that fade, he's going to go up there and get it. You want to push him out of bounds while he's catching the fade? He's got the body control, the toe drag, swag, and get 2 feet in when in college it only took 1. For me, that's what you're getting with him, and he blocks his butt off on the outside as well.
Follow what you think.
I think the biggest thing in the world for all of these guys that are highly touted prospects, not just a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., because I know some people out there want to already anoint him as a Hall of Famer and put him in Canton already. Hasn't taken his first snap on NFL-branded turf. It's all about correlating surroundings. And I know, look, we talked about him in Atlanta. It's not Atlanta, in Arizona. With Kyler Murray, I would love that fit. Mm-hmm. But you look at the top 3, does New England stay at 3? Say, look, this is our guy. We want him there. Well, there's no quarterback that I feel like, in my opinion, that's going to get him the football. Now, that's fine if you run a 5-yard hitch and turn around. I still believe Marvin Harrison can do that on 2 guys. He's that type of that type of ball player. But I just think the surroundings, the scenarios of where these guys come into these certain environments, the player itself and isolating is fine, but what's around them and the quarterback is throwing them the football at the end of the day. Because you talk about Calvin Johnson, he had Matthew Stafford, and they were in Detroit.
Well, he had Matthew Stafford for part of the time, right? But then we also seen him do some spectacular things as far as even being double and triple coverage and was just flat out dominant. But you even think about a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, right, where he didn't have those same type of quarterbacks, right? There's probably 10 quarterbacks that he's played with that we don't even remember their names, right? And he was still able to be productive at that level. So as far as him being a wide receiver prospect that can simply overcome bad situations, because we're talking about a top 5, a guy that's predicted going to top 5, but all those teams have quarterback issues, right? So is he a guy that you believe can transcend the problems that may be at the quarterback position? Because I think that can add the element of a truly special quarterback. I mean, so. Wide receiver.
I think he can because, so you look at his 2 years of, like, being a starter at Ohio State. Yeah. First year, he had C.J. Stroud, right? Supposed to have he had Emeka Buku with him. He had JSN. JSN goes down. You turn on the first game of that season, Notre Dame, they threw a double team on him when JSN was still on the field healthy. They knew who the dog was. Not saying JSN's not, but they knew who the guy that you really had to take away from that offense. Fast forward to 2023, he goes from C.J. Stroud, super accurate ball placement, to Kyle McCord. And that guy was erratic. His ball placement was all over the place, and he wasn't the most accurate quarterback at all. Talking about not having yak opportunities. Even when you win, the ball's on your face mask, not in front of you. So I do think I remember tweeting this out during the season. Marvin Harrison Jr. is QB proof. He's one of those guys, like you said, Larry Fitzgerald, where you just throw him the ball, you give him the targets, he's going to make the plays. He doesn't need the best of the best quarterback because he knows how to get open and make the matchup favorable for the quarterback. And I think that's what he brings.
I think it's also just sensational, the amount of talent that comes out of Ohio State every single year. And specifically,
Brian Hartline.
Receiver spot with Brian Hartline, what he's able to do, because it's seemingly every single year that these guys they're not just talents, that they just look at a ball of clay and say, this is the athlete right here, and he needs to be molded. These are guys that are entering the league, that Marvin Harrison Jr.'s, the Terry McLaurins, the Garrett Wilsons, the names go on, the JSNs of the world. These guys come in and they're nuanced. And the biggest thing about all these Ohio State receivers, including Marvin's game, it doesn't matter if you're a 5'10 guy, 6'4", 6'5", doesn't matter. They can all separate if there's a guy 2 yards off the line of scrimmage and say, I'm going to try to play bully ball with you, and you get off a press man. Because a lot of concerns with teams in this draft class and the years prior, can you get off press man at the NFL level when the guy's got 33s on the outside inside the contact window that said, look, okay, you lived in an offense that slung it 40 yards and you played against off man or off press, that's fine. But can you get off the line of scrimmage fundamentally before that front four gets home? And Marvin Harrison, that's a small thing in this game that he absolutely does well. But Brian Hartline, Ohio State, and the way he coaches guys, no matter if you're the top guy of the depth chart like Marvin was, you're at the bottom of the depth chart, the guys we don't ever hear about, it's just sensational.
No, I agree with you 100% with the Ohio State fact and situation. And then even with Marvin Harrison Jr., I agree with that, right? Him being a quarterback-proof wide receiver, right? But listen, let's have some fun with this, right? Let's have some fun. I gave you guys probably 2 to 3 minutes to think about this, but we started at the beginning of the show. I asked you, was he the best ever, right? That was probably a little bit easy for you guys, right? But now I'm going to ask you this. Is he in the top 3, right? Now we're talking about getting to the rest of that conversation. So I want you to rank your top 3 wide receiver prospects of all time.
Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, and Larry Fitzgerald. Like, for me, those are 3 of my favorite receivers of all time, and just the way they were able to get it done. I almost put Marvin ahead of Larry, but I got to respect one of my GOATs, and I got to get Larry his love.
Yeah, I'm going to go Calvin Johnson at 1, and I will say this, too. I think the separation between 1 and 2 still is far from me. I think Calvin is a completely different type of animal that we may not ever see again in the NFL draft process. I truly believe that. My 2 is Larry Fitzgerald. I just have a respect for his game as someone that just did everything well, was a professional, of the ultimate professional, carried himself unbelievably in Arizona, and was everything for the Cardinals out in the desert for a long, long time. And number 3, I have to go Julio Jones. Look, there's a lot of attention to the guys that wear that scripted A on their jersey every single year. Even when he was there, of course, Julio is just
wearing the 4.39 with a broken bone.
He's unbelievable, and he's been unbelievable for a long time. We're in the stage now of his career, right, where he was with Philadelphia this year, and he's that wide receiver 5, throw him on the field, and people get excited because they hear the name. But, man, what a prospect Julio Jones was, fundamentally coming out of Alabama. So he's my 3rd guy.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Calvin Johnson first also. Then I'm going to go Julio Jones. And then I'm going to go Jamarr Chase. Am I a little biased? Nope, not at all. It's not that I'm an LSU guy. I'm going Jamarr Chase at wide receiver 3 for me. But listen, man, I think it's safe to say this as we wrap up this conversation, right? That we didn't put Marvin Harrison Jr. as the best wide receiver prospect of all time, but we do believe that he is one of the best wide receiver prospects of all time. And if he does what he did at Ohio State, this will be a gold jacket wide receiver.
There's been a lot of years of the draft. We're talking about all-time draft prospects. How many receivers are drafted every year? There's a lot. Yeah. Bottom line, there's a lot of guys. All time, not saying when Marvin Harrison's bad. We're talking about the all-time, the all-timers. The expectations are through the roof for Marvin Harrison.
I agree. And there we have it. Marvin Harrison Jr. conversation. Is he the best wide receiver prospect of all time?